If you don't understand this, you will work hard forever and still stay broke. Most people never realize it. They believe more hours, more effort, more grind will eventually pay off, but it doesn't. That's why entire lives get wasted in jobs that never lead to freedom. The truth is simple. Hard work without understanding this one principle will keep you trapped, no matter how much you sacrifice. And once you see it, you can never go back. So let's begin with why hard work by itself is the biggest trap of all. Chapter 1. The trap of endless hard work. You've been told this since you were a child. Teachers said it, parents repeated it, society drilled it into your head. Work hard and you'll be successful. At first, it sounds fair, logical. If you put in more effort, you should get more results, right? But look closer. Look at the people around you, the ones waking up before sunrise, fighting traffic, clocking in early, staying late, always doing the right thing. Some of them have been working for 20, 30, or even 40 years. And yet where has it gotten them? Are they free? Are they wealthy? Or are they just barely surviving, waiting for the next paycheck to arrive so they can breathe for a moment before the cycle begins again? Here's the uncomfortable truth. Working harder doesn't mean you'll get ahead. It just means you'll get tired. Hard work by itself is not a ladder to success, it's a treadmill. You can run faster, you can sweat more, you can give everything you've got, but at the end of the day, you're still in the exact same place. And the trap is brutal because it feels noble. People will clap for you when you work yourself to the bone. They'll admire your dedication, your sacrifice, your grind. They'll call you disciplined, reliable, even respectable. But admiration doesn't pay your bills. Respect doesn't buy your freedom. And applause won't set you free from the endless cycle of trading hours for dollars. Think about it. How many people do you know who have given decades to a job, who sacrificed their health, their dreams, their time with family all, in the name of hard workingly to retire broke, tired, and full of regret? This is the trap. It promises you a future payoff if you just keep grinding. But in reality, it robs you of the very future you are working for. And the scariest part? The trap doesn't look like a trap when you're in it. It feels like you're doing the right thing. It feels responsible. You tell yourself you're providing, you're surviving, you're doing what has to be done. But deep down, you feel a tour stuck. You're pouring in more energy, more time, more life, and getting almost nothing back. If you don't understand this, you'll waste your best years chasing a finish line that doesn't exist. You'll work harder and harder, hoping that someday it will finally pay off. But someday never comes. All you're left with is exhaustion, frustration, and the realization that hard work alone was never the answer. The truth is harsh, but it's undeniable hard. Work without the right understanding is the fastest way to stay broke. And that leads us to the real question. One that changes everything. What is the principle that separates endless struggle from lasting freedom? Chapter 2, the missing principle. Here is the truth most people never hear. Wealth does not reward effort. It rewards understanding. It rewards leverage. It rewards value creation. But you weren't taught that. You were taught that the path to success was simple. Work hard, collect your paycheck, save a little, and someday you'll be okay. That's the script handed to you since childhood. Teachers told you, parents repeated it, society reinforced it, and so you followed it. You traded time for money, believing that was the way forward. But one day, you look around, and you see the cracks in the system. You're working harder, longer, giving more of yourself, and yet your bank account doesn't change. You're exhausted but not free. You've been sold the wrong equation. Here's why. Time is limited. You only get 24 hours in a day. Subtract sleep, family, eating, commuting, and what's left. Maybe 10 good hours of work. Even if you're the hardest worker alive, those hours are fixed. That means your income is capped. You can push harder, but you can't break past the ceiling. And the moment you stop working, your income stops too. That's the trap, the grind, the endless cycle of hours for dollars. And most people never question it. They spend their entire lives inside it, never realizing there was a way out. Meanwhile, look at the ones who break free. They don't do it by adding more hours. They don't do it by grinding harder than you. They do it because they understand something you don't. They understand leverage. Leverage is the principle that separates endless struggle from freedom. It's the reason one person can work 10 hours a day and stay broke, while another can work the same 10 hours and become wealthy. It's not the hours that matter. It's what those hours create. Imagine two people, both work all day. Person one goes home with a paycheck that covers bills and little else. Person two goes home having built something, a system, a product, an investment that keeps working even while they sleep. Tomorrow, next week, even years from now, it continues to pay them. That's the difference. That's leverage. You see it everywhere, even if you don't notice it. The book you read last year still pays its author. The app you use every morning still makes money for its creator. The business you buy from every week keeps generating revenue whether the owner is there or not. That's leverage in action. Here's the painful part. If you don't understand this, you will stay broke forever. You'll keep chasing promotions, small raises, and overtime shifts. You'll convince yourself that someday it'll pay off. But someday never comes, because the system was designed to keep you trading your hours until you have no hours left. Wealthy people escape this because they refuse to play by that equation. They don't ask, how many hours can I work? They ask, what can I build once that will pay me forever? They don't measure their worth in time. They measure it in value created, in systems built, in assets owned. And here's where most people get it wrong. They assume you need millions to start playing this game. You don't. You don't need a trust fund. You don't need perfect timing. You don't even need permission. You need to shift how you think. You need to stop asking, how much can I earn for my time? And start asking, how much can my time multiply if I use it correctly? This is the missing principle, the one thing that separates endless grind from exponential growth. If you understand it, you'll never look at work the same way again. If you don't, you'll waste your life working harder and harder, wondering why nothing ever changes. And that brings us to the next step, the mindset shift that turns this principle from theory into reality, moving from the worker's mindset to the builder's mindset. Chapter 3, how the wealthy think versus how you've been trained. You've been trained to think like a worker. From the very beginning, that's the script you were handed. Go to school, get good grades, follow the rules, do what you were told, find a safe job, work hard, don't make mistakes, don't take risks, collect your paycheck, save what you can, and maybe someday you'll retire with just enough to survive. That's the blueprint you were given, a blueprint designed not to make you wealthy but to keep you obedient, to make you a cog in a machine, to make you valuable to someone else's system. And you followed it. Why wouldn't you? Everyone around you did the same. Your parents believed it. Your teachers reinforced it. The world told you that this was the responsible path. And so you worked hard, you sacrificed, you gave your best years to the grind. But then reality hits. You look around and see the cracks. You realize the paycheck that was supposed to bring security barely covers your bills. You see your savings vanish with one emergency. You watch the years slip by, and freedom doesn't come closer, it drifts further away. That's when the frustration creeps in. That quiet, gnawing voice inside you whispering, there has to be more than this. Because deep down, you know something's wrong. Deep down, you know this system wasn't built for you to win. It was built for you to serve. Now, look at the wealthy. Look at how they think. Their mindset is not the same as yours. They don't wake up asking, how many hours can I sell today? They wake up asking, what can I build today that will keep multiplying tomorrow? They don't think in terms of jobs. They think in terms of ownership. They don't measure success in hours worked. They measure it in assets created, in systems designed, in problems solved. That's why they can step away from the desk and still get paid. That's why while you're sweating through overtime hours, they're earning more in their sleep than you make in a month. And here's where the tension sharpens. You've been trained to fear risk. You've been told to play it safe, to avoid mistakes, to keep your head down. But the wealthy, they know that playing it too safe is the riskiest move of all because safety keeps you trapped. You've been trained to spend, to consume, to waste money on things that lose value the second you swipe your card. But the wealthy, they invest. They buy assets. They put money into things that grow, compound, and pay them back again and again. That's why your money disappears while theirs multiplies. You've been trained to think small, to believe wealth is for other people, to accept just enough to get by. But the wealthy think big. They ask questions like, how can I solve a problem for millions of people? And because they think bigger, they build bigger. Do you see the gap now? It's not luck. It's not intelligence. It's not even resources. It's perspective. It's a mindset. That's the difference between someone who stays stuck for life and someone who builds freedom. Imagine two people starting from zero. One follows the worker script. They go to school, get a job, work hard, and save when they can. They live in fear of losing their income because their income is tied to their hours. The other thinks like a builder. They spend the same hours learning, creating, building systems, and solving problems. One ends up broke after 40 years. The other ends up free after 10. And here's the payoff. Once you shift from worker thinking to builder thinking, your entire life changes. You stop seeing money as something you trade time for. You start seeing it as something you create through leverage, value, and ownership. You stop asking how much can I earn for my hours and start asking how much can I multiply by my hours. This is the mental rewiring that separates the broke from the wealthy. And once you cross that line, you can't go back. You'll never look at a paycheck the same way again. Which brings us to the next chapter, how this principle works in the real world, because seeing it in action is what finally makes it click. Chapter 4, Real-World Applications of the Principle. It's one thing to understand this principle in theory, it's another to see it in action. Because when you see how it plays out in real life, it becomes impossible to deny. You begin to notice it everywhere. And once you see it, you can't unsee it. Think about the author who writes a book once. They spend months or maybe years pouring their thoughts into pages. But once the book is done, the work is done. Every time someone buys a copy, money flows to the author even if they're asleep. That's leverage. One effort multiplied across thousands or even millions of readers. Think about the person who creates an app. They work hard in the beginning, designing, coding, and testing. But once it's released, every download generates revenue. It doesn't matter if it's 2 a.m. or 2 p.m. The money keeps flowing because the product keeps working without them. That's leverage again. Now, think about someone who starts a small business. At first, they're doing everything sales, service, operations, but the smart ones don't stay there. They build systems. They hire people. They delegate. They put structures in place so the business runs even when they're not there. That's leverage through people and systems. And it's not just digital creators or entrepreneurs. Look at investors, someone who owns real estate, collects rent every single month. They don't have to physically be at the property to get paid. Someone who buys stocks in a growing company doesn't work inside that company, but they benefit every time it grows in value. That's leverage through assets. Meanwhile, most people ignore these opportunities. Why? Because they don't look glamorous in the beginning. Writing a book, building an app, starting a business, buying an investment property at first, it looks small, slow, even risky. And that's why most people dismiss it. They tell themselves it's not enough to matter. They convince themselves it won't work, and then they go back to the grind. Back to trading time for money, back to the cycle. But here's the truth. Every wealthy person you admire started with something small. One product, one skill, one business, one investment. And over time, it compounded. That one effort grew into something bigger, something that paid them again and again. And this is where you need to pay attention, because this is the moment most people miss. They look at the wealthy and only see the end result. They see the mansions, the cars, the freedom. What they don't see is the early leverage, the small things built consistently, the assets created long before anyone was watching. That's the opportunity you have right now. You may not be able to build an empire overnight, but you can create one small thing that multiplies. You can write something, design something, build something, invest in anything that breaks the chain between your hours and your income. Because once you do that, the entire game changes. You stop asking, how many hours can I work this week? And you start asking, how many systems can I build? How many problems can I solve? How much value can I create that pays me long after I've done the work? This is what real leverage looks like. This is how wealth is built. Not by working harder, but by creating things that work harder than you ever could. And this brings us to the next step part that separates those who stay stuck in theory from those who finally break free. How you can take this principle and apply it to your own life starting today. Chapter 5, Your Escape Plan. So now you understand the trap, you see the principle. You've seen how leverage works in the real world, but here's the critical part. Knowledge alone won't save you. You can watch videos, read books, take notes, but if you don't act, nothing changes. Information without action is just entertainment, and entertainment won't free you. Your escape plan begins. With a simple step, pick one thing, one skill, one problem, one project worth committing to. Don't overcomplicate it. Don't wait for the perfect idea. Don't stall, hoping for the perfect moment, because perfection is just procrastination dressed in disguise. You don't need perfect, you need to start. Protect 1 hour a day for it. Just 1 hour. Block it off. Guard it like your future depends on it, because it does. In that hour, you are not checking emails, not scrolling, not reacting to the world. You're building, you're creating, you're solving, you're investing in the future version of yourself. At first, it will feel slow. You'll sit there and your brain will scream that it's not enough. You'll feel like you're wasting your time. You'll look around and see people grinding 12 hours a day, and you'll wonder if you're falling behind. But here's the paradox: while they're running in circles, your 1 hour is compounding. It's stacking. It's a building. Think about it. One focused hour a day is 365 hours in a year. That's the equivalent of 9 full-time work weeks devoted entirely to your future. Imagine what happens when you use those hours to master a skill, build a business, write that book, design that app, create that product, or invest in assets. Slowly at first, then suddenly, the results appear. And here's where the shift happens. The first time you earn a dollar outside of your job, it changes you. It doesn't matter if it's $1, $10, or 100. It's proof that you can. Create something once and it can pay you again. Proof that you don't have to live chained to a paycheck. Proof that the principle works. From there, it snowballs. That one skill leads to another. That one product evolves into many. That 1 hour expands into momentum. And before you know it, the gap between you and everyone else becomes massive. While they're stuck hoping for a raise, you're building streams of income that multiply without your permission. But don't mistake this for easy. It won't be. Doubt will creep in. Distractions will attack you. Comfort will tempt you to quit. The people around you will tell you it's unrealistic, that you should play it safe, that you're wasting your time. And if you listen, you'll fall right back into the trap. The payoff comes when you refuse to stop, when you show up for that 1 hour, day after day, even when it feels pointless, when you protect your time like your future depends on it, because it does. Momentum is invisible at first, but once it builds, it becomes unstoppable. This is your escape plan. Not luck, not waiting, not gambling. One skill, one problem, one project, 1 hour a day. Protected, stacked, compounded. That's how you break free from the grind. But even when you start, there's danger ahead because the world is full of silent killers that will try to drag you back into being broke. And if you don't recognize them, they'll destroy your momentum before it even begins. Chapter 6, the silent killers that keep you broke by now. You understand the trap of endless hard work. Seeing the principle that separates the broke from the wealthy. You even know the escape plan on skill, one project, one protected hour a day. But here's the truth that most people ignore. It's not starting that's hard. It's protecting your momentum. And this is where most people fail. You see, momentum doesn't usually die in one big crash. It dies quietly, slowly, silently. And the worst part? You rarely notice it slipping away until it's gone. That's why I call them silent killers. They sneak in unnoticed, steal your focus, drain your energy, and pull you back into the life you swore you'd escape. If you don't recognize them, they will trap you forever. The first killer is distraction, and distraction isn't always loud. It's not always a phone call or someone knocking on your door. Sometimes it's subtle checking your messages just for a second, scrolling your feed before you get started, flipping on a video to get inspired. One distraction here, another there, and before you know it, your sacred hour is gone. You told yourself you'd build. Instead, you consumed. And tomorrow, you'll tell yourself the same lie again. The second killer is lifestyle creep. This one is more dangerous because it feels like progress. You finally earn a little extra money, and what do? You upgrade. A nicer car, a bigger house, more subscriptions, more spending. Suddenly, your expenses grow just as fast as your income, and without realizing it, you've locked yourself right back into the grind. You're working harder, but you're no freer than before. You've built golden handcuff shiny, but still chains. And the third killer is ego and comfort. The moment you taste a little success, you start to believe the work is done. You relax, you slow down, you start coasting. Comfort whispers in your ear, telling you to ease up, to enjoy yourself. Ego tells you that you've made it, that you're smarter than the rest, that you no longer need to push. And just like that, your momentum dies. You stop building, and without realizing it, you begin sliding backward. These three killers, distraction, lifestyle creep, and ego, are why most people never escape. They start strong, but they don't last. They let their focus slip. They let their spending rise. They let comfort seduce them back into mediocrity. And in the end, they find themselves right where they started working hard, broke, and wondering what went wrong. But if you can recognize these killers early, if you can guard against them, if you can protect your one sacred hour no matter what, then nothing can stop you. Your progress will compound. Your freedom will grow. Your momentum will carry you forward while everyone else stalls. This is the hidden battle that separates the few who break free from the many who stay stuck. Winning it requires vigilance. It requires discipline. It requires the courage to keep going when no one is watching, when no one is clapping, when no one even believes in you yet. And once you win that battle, you'll finally see what life looks like on the other side. Which brings us to the final chapter, the future you build once you understand this principle, and what your life can truly look like when you finally escape the grind forever. Chapter 7, the future of freedom. Now you understand the truth. You've seen the trap. You've learned the principle. You've been given the escape plan. You know the silent killers. And now, the question is simple. What does life actually look like when you finally break free? Let's paint two futures. The first is the path most people take. You keep following the worker's script. You keep trading time for money, believing that hard work alone will someday pay off. You wake up early, you fight traffic, you clock in, you grind, you come home tired, you repeat. The years blur together. Your income rises a little, but so do your bills. Your responsibilities grow heavier, your dreams grow dimmer, and before you know it, decades have passed. You look back and realize you spent your entire life working hard yet you stayed broke. That's the future you get if you don't understand this principle. But there's another future, a different one. In this future, you made the shift. You stopped thinking like a worker and started thinking like a builder. You protected your one sacred hour. You built skills, created systems, solved problems, invested in assets. At first it was small, almost invisible, but over time, the compounding took over. 1. Stream of income became 2, 2 became 5. Eventually, you no longer depended on your paycheck. Your paycheck depended on you. And suddenly, everything changes. You wake up when you want, not when an alarm tells you. You work on problems that excite you, not tasks that drain you. You travel when you choose. You spend time with the people you love. You invest in projects that matter to you. You build not just for money, but for impact, for legacy, for freedom. That's the life that opens up when you understand this principle and put it into action. And here is the final truth. The gap between those two futures doesn't come down to luck or talent or even opportunity. It comes down to whether or not you understand this, whether or not you act on it. Because if you don't, you'll work hard forever and stay broke. But if you do, you'll create freedom that compounds for the rest of your life. The choice is in front of you right now. You know the principle. You see the path. And once you understand this, you can never unsee it. The rest is up to you.